Hello vinyl community, back here to do another video for you with more recent vinyl spins. I know I haven't had a video up in a couple weeks, but took a short business trip to Seattle. Now I'm back and I've been spinning a few things. I'm going to talk about what I've been spinning. So the first thing that I've been spinning is really a single by a band by the named Los Porcos, and it's on the Uber label, and it's called Jesus Loves You, Baby. As far as I'm aware, this band does not have a full-length release, and I'm hoping that they will come out with a full-length release because this single is just incredible. The best way to describe it is it's in the vein of chill wave, has a feel of maybe a little bit of Lindsey Buckingham in the 80s with the guitars. I'm going to include a link down below, so I highly recommend giving this group, Los Porcos, a sample. Next up is the most recent released by Late Night Tales. For you folks that are not familiar with Late Night Tales, they just do a fabulous job with compilations, and I think it was Esquire or GQ magazine dubbed them the Cadillac of compilations, and I have to agree. The theme of Late Night Tales is they take a group or an artist and they ask that artist to come up with a track list for the compilation. So the artist gets to pick a bunch of songs, but the way it is the artist has to have one cover song on the album. This one is put out by John Hopkins, and he does a cover of a Yesayer song, which I'm not too familiar with. John Hopkins is a instrumentalist, so I'd say 2/3 of the album are instrumental tracks. Some of them are by Holy Other, Nils Fram, let's see, School of Seven Bells, Peter Broderick, and A Winged Victory for the Sullen are a few folks that are featured on this particular album. The nice thing about Late Night Tales is all their pressings are 180 gram, and they half-speed master them. I'm pretty sure it's not the master tapes, but they do get a pretty good copy. Each one comes with a nice little LP type poster. All the Late Night Tales feature a night theme with a night light, so this just happens to be the one for John Hopkins. I haven't cleaned the vinyl up yet, but they all come in the polyline sleeves, and plus you get a nice little download code, which is a nice perk. And the download code features a unmixed version of the album, so if you just want to listen to the tracks in an unmixed fashion, go with the download. But these I can't recommend enough. I don't think there is a bad album in the whole set, and I've been collecting these for a long time, and I'm very happy with this latest release. One other thing to mention with Late Night Tales is all the albums end with a spoken word piece. And several of the albums have actually featured actors reading the spoken word piece. So like the last edition had the actor Benedict Cumberbatch doing the spoken word piece. This one features Rick Holland, who I don't know who that is. I probably should have looked it up before I did this video, but the very interesting spoken word piece on this one. Next up is a band that I find really hard to define. They're pretty unique. This is Public Service Broadcasting. If you look them up online, some people dub them as electronic, others dub them as rock, other people dub them as alternative. The whole premise of the band is they are taking samples from news radio from the period, and they're intermixing it with music. For me, the music, at least on this album, it can't hold up on its own. Like, there is one track where I think it would hold up on its own just fine, which is Sputnik, but the samples and the audio samples are really what drives the music. The packaging is just wonderful. So as you can see, there's alternate covers, and this album is The Race for Space. I think they only have one other full-length LP out, and it's one that I'm looking to pick up because I did find the whole concept rather interesting. So, nice gatefold. It does come with a printed inner sleeve. Here's a shot that I think was taken from Apollo 8 when they had Earthrise. So this is kind of an infamous photo. Also came with a very nice booklet. So the premise of the album, it starts out with John Kennedy and John Kennedy's speech at Rice University. I think it was in about 1961, after we just had our first man shot, and then Kennedy went to the Rice campus and challenged the United States to make it to the moon by the end of the decade. So it starts out with that. No, I take that back. It does start out with that. Then it goes to Sputnik, and then it goes to Gagarin, and then it just kind of builds from there, and it goes all the way to the last Apollo mission, not the Apollo-Soyuz mission, which is featured from this photograph, but the Apollo 17 mission, which was the last mission on the moon. And it has audio samples from Mission Control. It has some spoken dialogue from Gene Cernan, which was the last man to walk on the moon. There's also a very cool track called Go, which features Gene Kranz, who is the infamous flight director, which I think anyone that's seen Apollo 13 recognizes this guy, but actually it's really this guy. I've had the good fortune of meeting the real Gene Kranz on several occasions because I worked in Mission Control. And just to show you the book, here's all the band that supported. So you got some horns, you got guitars, you got, I think you even got a banjo on one track. Here's a nice shot of the Saturn V in the vehicle assembly building down at KSC. So this is a very interesting album to listen to if you're into history, with kind of some music in the background just to you know, help convey a story. I definitely recommend this. I found this very interesting to listen to. I don't think the music would stand up on its own if it wasn't for the dialogue and the audio samples mixed in. So definitely worth a sample. I'll include a link down below. This actually would have made a perfect contest entry for Miko's contest, because you got Sputnik, which in Russian means satellite, and then of course you got the famous Apollo painting here of the man on the moon. Alright, so next up is a fairly commercial release for me. So Madonna's Rebel Heart. I did like this album more than I did Hard Candy and MDNA. This has some more pop flavored tunes which I could get into. MDNA, Madonna, did have a few. I felt this one was a little bit of a stronger album. And just to show you, it's a very nice gatefold. Of course, she's holding up well for being 56. So the one thing I gotta say is I was very disappointed in the vinyl. So let's see, it was mastered by Ron Jonas at Sterling Labs. He did the lacquers, but it was pressed at United. And when I got the vinyl, I try and show you it. I don't know how well that's gonna show up, but there are some points in non-fill. Yeah, my camera probably just doesn't have the resolution to show you the points in non-fill. So again, another shoddy job by United. I wish they would really up their quality control on their product, and you know, I send it back to the guy I got it from, but you know, the way they are with independent record stores is they're going to have to eat this. They can't send it back for a refund. So for me, it's not that bad. It plays through. I got a couple of skips in the tracks. Didn't come with a digital download, which was another disappointing factor, just given the price that you have to pay for it. But not a bad album. I don't want to ding her too much for the work. It's just the product is not the greatest. Music Matters came out with their new releases as well. And the first one is Dexter Gordon, Our Man in Paris. Again, this is the 33 1/3 edition. They did do a 45 RPM edition. This was done when Dexter actually went to Europe and started playing there. This is one of the few Blue Notes that was not recorded by Rudy Van Gelder. This was recorded by another gentleman. But the photos are great. If you haven't seen it, I recommend checking out the film Round Midnight, because Dexter Gordon actually acted in that movie, and he actually played a character based on Bud Powell, which was interesting because I guess the character is kind of a drunkard. Anyway, Bud Powell actually plays on this album, and it also features Pierre Michelin and Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark, I know, of course, Bud Powell is great, but Bud Powell lived the rough life, but he is featured on this album. The photos are just great. Just to show you the vinyl here really quick. This was originally issued on the New York label. And again, I can't say anything bad about Music Matter Blue Notes. They are worth every penny. And if you can get your hands on one, I highly recommend it. The next Music Matters release I was very pleased with, and it is my favorite album by Herbie Hancock, and it's Empyrean Isles. This features Freddie Hubbard, Ron Carter, and Anthony Williams. It also features the track Cantaloupe Island, which was made infamous by us three sampling it. But if you listen to the original track, Freddie Hubbard's trumpet solo is just mind-blowing on this guy. This whole album is just fantastic. So again, another nice gatefold with pictures of the band during the session. And this one was also issued on the New York USA label. So again, Music Matters is putting out 2 titles close to once a month, and it's just been phenomenal what they've been putting out. Now, there are some folks that are a little bit disappointed because a lot of what they're putting out now they also had on 45 RPM, and I can understand that, why buy an album twice. But the mastering job is just fantastic. So again, even if you don't get the Music Matters version of this, you can definitely go with the Blue Night 75th edition, and you're going to get a good, decent quality copy. But this is just fantastic. I think the last thing I have to mention was some stuff that I saw at Half Price Books, which is a little bit frustrating for me, and I just want to give folks a word of warning. So, I mentioned in one of the previous videos that there are certain European labels that are taking advantage of copyright law, and if it's more than 50 years old, then you know it becomes fair game. It's the stuff is in the public domain. Well, Wax Time is one of them, and this is Marty Payak, and I like this particular album. I had heard it digitally. Music Matters, or Half Price Books had a deal where everything was more than half off, like 50% off, so I figured, I've been looking for an original copy of this, and they're really hard to come by. It has the nice cheesecake cover, of course, but you know, these things are mastered from a CD, and the label, so it just has an X for Wax Time. The pressing is good, but you can tell it's not an original source. The other interesting thing about Wax Time and a few of these other labels is they have this generic kind of sticker on it, and they changed the original artwork. So up here used to be a Warner Brothers logo, so here's a photo of the original, and they kind of Photoshop this guy out or enlarge the cover so it gets rid of the original logo. I've seen them do that with Blue Note, Impulse, Prestige, so just something to watch out for. Another one that I saw, so this thing I got for like $6 because you know I have never seen an original copy in the wild, and I'd love to get an original copy. This would be on Liberty, and the Liberty logo you would see up here behind the sticker. This one is done on Pan Am Records. So, just a word of caution, not to. I mean, you're not contributing to the artist or the artist's estate. You're maybe funding the Russian mafia, for all I know. Here's the label. Of course, you'd have Liberty instead of this. The label, of course, it doesn't benefit either by this, and I'm just surprised it continues to go on. So those are probably going to be the last things that I buy in this case. I'm going to continue to hunt for an original if I can, but I guess I will just suffice with this pirated copy. So just a word of caution with some of the stuff that you find through these discount dealers. It's really important to see if they, you know, they're represented by the original label. There are a couple that are actually consulting Blue Note and Impulse and Prestige, and then there are European Union companies that don't, and I don't care to support them. So there you have it. Hopefully this was informational, and have a great weekend.